The night began the way most nights do, music spilling onto the street, laughter riding the warm air, neon lights blinking like promises. For Lara, it was supposed to be simple. One drink, a little dancing, then home. She had worked double shifts all week and needed something light, something normal. The club on Maple Street was loud but familiar, a place where faces blended and no one asked questions. Inside, the bass thumped hard enough to blur thoughts. Lara laughed with her friends, the kind of laugh that came easily when the week was finally behind her. She wore a small silver necklace her sister had given her, and she kept touching it unconsciously, a habit when she was nervous or excited. Around midnight, the heat grew unbearable, and she stepped outside for air. The sidewalk was crowded, smokers, couples arguing, friends shouting over the music. Near the door stood Marcus, one of the club's security guards. He was tall, calm, the kind of man who seemed anchored while everything else spun. Lara had seen him before. Everyone had. He nodded at her as she stepped out. "Crazy inside," she said, smiling. Marcus chuckled. "Friday nights always are." It was nothing. A harmless exchange between a patron and a guard doing his job. They talked about the heat, about the music being too loud, about how long the line had gotten. Lara leaned against the wall, grateful for the breeze. For a moment, she felt safe. Public place, bright lights, people everywhere. Across the street, someone watched. He had arrived earlier with a group, the kind of men who moved as one, eyes scanning more than enjoying. His name didn't matter. On the street, he was known for his temper. Jealousy sat in him like a loaded weapon, always cocked, always waiting. He had seen Lara come in. He had noticed her smile. And now, from the shadows, he saw her laughing with Marcus. To him, it wasn't conversation. It was disrespect. He crossed the street slowly, anger tightening his jaw. People parted instinctively. Lara didn't notice him at first. She was mid-sentence, joking about how she'd lost her voice shouting lyrics that weren't even right. Marcus smiled politely, eyes still doing their job, watching the crowd, the door, the night. Then the man stopped a few feet away. "Why are you talking to him?" he asked. The tone froze the air. Lara turned, confused. She didn't recognize him well enough to place his name, only his eyes, dark, sharp, offended. She took a step back, instinctively closer to the door. She started. "You think it's funny," he snapped. Marcus shifted, calm but alert. "Hey man," he said evenly. "Everything's fine. Let's keep it cool." That was the wrong sentence. The man's hand moved faster than thought. The flash was brief, the sound sharp and final. People screamed. Someone dropped a bottle. Glass shattered on concrete. Lara didn't have time to run. She didn't even have time to understand. She fell. For a second, the world seemed to pause. Music still thumping inside, lights still flashing, the club still alive. Then chaos crashed in. People scattered. Someone shouted for help. Marcus dropped to his knees beside Lara, pressing his hands where he could, calling her name even though he didn't know it. Her eyes were open, fixed on nothing. The silver necklace lay crooked against her skin. The man was already gone. Police arrived within minutes. Red and blue lights painted the street in violent color. The club shut down instantly, doors locked. Patrons herded into statements and shock. Paramedics worked quickly, urgently. But it was over before it began. Lara was pronounced dead on the sidewalk where she had stood moments earlier, talking about the heat. News traveled fast. By morning, the headline was everywhere. Woman shot dead outside nightclub after brief conversation. Social media filled with opinions, outrage, speculation. Some blamed the club. Some blamed the guard. Some blamed Lara herself, as if a conversation were a crime. Her family learned through a phone call they would never forget. At the station, detectives replayed security footage again and again. The angle wasn't perfect, but it was enough. The shooter's face appeared briefly, clear enough to recognize. Witnesses came forward, shaken, guilty, afraid. They described his jealousy, his reputation, the way everyone knew to stay quiet when he was angry. He was arrested 2 days later at a friend's apartment, a bag already packed. He didn't resist. He didn't explain. In the interrogation room, he stared at the table, jaw clenched, as if the world had wronged him instead. The trial moved quickly. The evidence was undeniable. The footage, the witnesses, the weapon. In court, the prosecutor spoke about how fragile life was, how a moment of rage had erased a future. Lara's sister testified, voice breaking as she described the necklace, the laugh, the plans they'd made for next summer. The defense tried to talk about provocation, about misunderstanding, about emotion. The jury didn't take long. Guilty. The sentence was heavy, but it couldn't balance the scale. Nothing could return a life taken over nothing, over words, over pride, over a glance that meant nothing at all. The club reopened months later. Fresh paint on the walls, new security policies, a different guard at the door. People danced again. Music spilled onto the street. Life continued, because it always does. But for those who knew the story, the sidewalk outside the door never looked the same. A small memorial appeared for a while, flowers, candles, a photo of Lara smiling in daylight. Someone wrote a message on cardboard and taped it to the wall. She didn't deserve this. Eventually, the flowers dried. The candles burned out. The cardboard disappeared. What remained was the lesson no one wanted to learn, that sometimes danger doesn't announce itself, that sometimes a life can end between one sentence and the next. Lara didn't make a mistake. She didn't provoke a tragedy. She spoke to the wrong man at the wrong time, and that was all it took. Seconds. That was the distance between laughter and silence.